Wikicast Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Wikicast episode 6. We're really racking them up now. 6 is a good number. This is a return to form. Once again, it's as usual the host Steve O'Gallagher and myself, and we've got Adam Pollard again. So we're back to the two-man team for this particular episode. And today we're going to be discussing Winston Churchill. So this is our first time delving into just looking into a person as a topic for Wikicast. And figured he's probably a good place to start. I feel like I should know more about him.
Yeah, and he's also,
pretty famous as it is.
Pretty big historical figure.
Yeah.
So he's in that lovely zone where there's enough information about him.
Yeah,
but they're quite far. They're quite distant.
My only real knowledge of him was like, well, he was a British leader around World War II. That's where I started from. Like literally, that's all I kind of knew. I knew, it must have been. I think I vaguely knew he was prime minister at the time.
So a low bar then.
A low bar, as with most things in my knowledge. If I haven't delved into it at all, I know nothing about it. I'm blissfully ignorant unless I'm actually forced to look into
hopefully it. Hopefully Wikipedia is going to be useful this week.
Completely. I've spent a good couple of hours today. Well, in-depth research, a couple of hours, reading up on the guy, old Winston, and lots of things I didn't know about him. He's clearly lived quite a life. Which I suppose you'd have to in order to get to a point where you're Prime Minister of Britain.
Yeah.
You'd hope.
Yeah, you would think. Well, not nowadays.
Not nowadays. You just have to be really good at PR. It's not quite as bad as the States where you have to be like just good at PR but also own millions or have friends that can give you millions to run for presidency. So what's quite useful about Wikipedia is at the top of each page it'll have like a kind of summary of the main points
which gives us our structure.
Which gives, precisely. But a few kind of buzzwords of interest. To date, he is the only British Prime Minister to have received the Nobel Prize in Literature. Did you know that?
No. Oh. What did he write?
It's actually for his body of work.
Oh, because he was a journalist. I was aware he was a war correspondent.
Yeah, and as we'll find out later, that's actually how he got into how he got into war. You start gently. Go, I'm curious about this, and then I'll fire a gun. So he was also the first person to be made an honorary citizen of the United States of America.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't.
First and last. Who else is it?
I have no idea. It didn't say. But first, it could mean only. I doubt it is. It's probably.
Who else? If that's the bar.
They've probably given
if Winston Churchill was the bar for services to the States, then I feel as if it's not gonna be a long list.
I suspect nowadays they probably give that away like hotcakes to any intellectual person for political.
Probably a few Canadians on there.
yeah. And upon his what?
Justin
Bieber, yeah. Because if they do that, maybe they can get more tax out of him. That's probably what it is. Upon his death, the Queen granted him the honor of a state funeral, which saw one of the largest assemblies of world statesmen ever.
Yeah, I imagine probably one of the biggest crowds as well, like the funeral procession. Yeah.
It was described briefly on Wikipedia, like there was a train that went up with his casket in it, because he wanted to be buried in his family lot. So that's already sparked my interest. And also his name on Wikipedia is followed by something like 8 different letters, like sections of letters.
Titles,
like the
Knight of the
Admiralty
Order
something. Yeah, all that jazz. Most of them I didn't know what the hell they meant. But still, nevertheless, very impressive. He's very decorated in his own way. Apparently his father died aged 45, and that's contributed to Churchill wanting to do as much as possible with his life, because he figured, if I'm anything like my dad, I've got 45 years, better get cracking.
It's good motivation.
Great motivation. Now, I in the process of looking up Churchill, I know he's famous for some speeches, and there's a couple of little buzzwords I can remember from speeches. So I went on YouTube to find some speeches, and a couple of them I had a hard time understanding what the hell he was saying.
He was this is random knowledge that just jumped into my head.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he's really famous for hating giving speeches.
Really?
And he was such a terrible public speaker that he used to spend the night before not going to sleep,
worrying about it,
rereading it. He would just read it for 8 hours or something.
I mean, he knew the value of oratory skills and speech giving,
but he hated it. And the really famous speech, we will fight them on the beaches.
Yeah.
We will I don't know.
Fight them in the fields, in the
we'll fight them
streets,
wherever they are. If they're here,
I've got that later. I'm going to read it out.
Apparently, it wasn't him that recorded it. It's not his voice on the radio.
I heard that.
That it was an actor that did it.
Interesting.
I mean, it was his speech,
Was it-
and it was him speaking to the nation. But I'm pretty sure that
Was
it
it
wasn't
Churchill or was it someone else? Some famous leader contracted an artist to design his signature for him, and then learnt it because he couldn't think of an interesting signature to have. So someone else designed it for him, which I think is quite cool. I'd like to have.
I should have done that because mine is terrible.
Really? Is it chicken scratch?
It looks kind of like, when they have earthquakes and they record it on like those graphs.
Seismograph.
Seismograph. It looks
We
like a
did
seismograph
earthquakes not 2 weeks ago, Adam.
Well, we didn't do signatures in it.
Okay, we did seismograph.
Well, that's exactly what mine looks like, and I always get the response when I hand in checks and things of the cashiers looking at me like,
Can you read and write?
well,
Just an X will suffice, Mr. Pollard. But he did. Churchill did have a speech impediment, or he declared it as a speech impediment. He had a bit of a lisp, and he consistently worked to overcome his speech impediment. That's why I found listening to him.
Could have been where I was coming from on my half-remembered, half-learned
thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
because he didn't like speaking.
Speech, I could understand a word, and I speak English quite well. Well, I said quite well. That's not true. But I'm quite good at understanding what people were saying, because I'm good with accents and things. But I struggled. Really did. It was very proper English.
Oh, that's a pretty good accent.
Yeah.
I mean, impersonation. I knew exactly who that was meant to be.
Not the least because we're talking about Winston Churchill anyway, which probably helped. But yeah, it's something he worked on, and he famously once quoted, "My impediment is no hindrance."
That was quite a good impression as well.
I thank you. But yeah, so famously locked into the historic event that is World War II and also World War One. He fought in World War One.
Did he fight?
He did.
He was in charge.
Well, he commanded.
But he made a pretty big balls up in World War One.
He's had a couple of
I think I'm pretty sure. And again, this is a half-learned, half-remembered fact.
And there's every chance that I haven't listed these in my short notes, but we'll get through. I'm gonna try and go through as much as possible chronologically.
All right.
But yeah, in order to be linked with that, he obviously had to have some, maybe not some, yeah. So he's clearly had some military experience. When it started out, he wanted to just cover it as a journalist, and he was sent out on the behalf of some newspaper to Cuba to cover that whatever skirmishes were going on over there when he was
like 1908, like independence.
Would
have been like Batista, I think.
Yes, kind of. I think it's before that. It's shortly before that, because it's before he even entered in Parliament, I believe.
They had a revolution like 1906.
Unfortunately, I haven't copied the date, which is really, really useful. See, if I had an iPad, I'd just whip it back up. But I'm using an iPhone.
Expenses.
Huh?
You can get it on Wikicast expenses.
Yeah, tax free. But yeah, and it was described as, to his delight, he came under fire for the first time on his 21st birthday.
Oh.
And that really exhilarated him. He thought, oh, this is jolly nice.
That's a good present.
Yeah. You're a man now. People want to kill you. But he covered battles in Cuba, which is where he gained his taste for Havana cigars. He's famously been pictured many, many times with cigars. I think there was some quote saying that he managed to tailor down his cigar intake to only about 10 per day.
How long did he live to? Have we got that? Because that's
90.
90 is pretty impressive.
90, which is definitely overtaking his dad, who was 45. So he's done well there. Yeah, 90. And he suffered a bunch of heart attacks and strokes. And he's
kept those cigars coming.
I'll fight it in my heart. He fought in India and Sudan and in South Africa.
South Africa would probably be the Boer War?
Yes, it was, which you mentioned to me before recently.
Yeah, that's where we did our whole inventing camps thing. I say we as the collective British.
Yeah, of course.
Where
the collective we. Do you think Churchill had a hand in that?
No, I did. No way. In no way did I just say that.
No, he didn't.
He was in the same country where it happened.
But he has come up with some good things and some controversial kind of moments. But
quite a few controversial moments.
All right, good.
We'll get.